Imagine waking up tomorrow and something feels wrong. The wind outside is roaring, the oceans are rising, and the sky above looks strangely still. Because somehow, the Earth has stopped spinning. Right now, our planet rotates at nearly 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. But what if that motion suddenly stopped? What would happen to our oceans, our atmosphere, and the people living on Earth? Let's explore what would happen if our planet suddenly stopped spinning. If Earth suddenly stopped spinning, everything not attached to the ground would keep moving. At the equator, the surface of Earth moves nearly 1,000 miles per hour. That means cities, oceans, vehicles, and even the air would keep moving at that speed. The result would be immediate and catastrophic destruction. Buildings would collapse, cars and debris would be thrown through the air, and hurricane-force winds would blast across the planet. But the wind would only be the beginning. The real destruction would come from the oceans. Right now, Earth's rotation pulls water toward the equator, holding it in place. But if the planet suddenly stopped spinning, that force would disappear instantly. And when it does, the oceans would begin to move. Billions of tons of water would surge away from the equator, rushing toward the poles. At first, it would look like the sea is pulling back, but within moments, the horizon would rise. Waves would begin to form, larger than anything ever recorded in human history. These wouldn't be normal tsunamis. They would be global mega waves, stretching for miles, moving faster than a jet and carrying unimaginable force. Entire coastlines would be erased in minutes. Cities near the ocean would vanish beneath walls of water hundreds of feet high. Ships would be tossed like toys, and floodwaters would continue moving inland, swallowing everything in their path. In a matter of hours, the surface of Earth would be completely reshaped by water. If Earth stopped spinning, our day and night cycle would disappear completely. The sky would no longer change. The sun would stop moving, and time itself would feel frozen. Half of the planet would face the sun constantly, locked in endless daylight, with no sunset and no relief. Temperatures would begin to rise rapidly, climbing higher and higher, beyond anything humans have ever experienced. On this side of Earth, heat would become unbearable, reaching over 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Oceans would begin to evaporate, water turning into thick clouds of steam, leaving behind dry, lifeless land. Forests would burn, soil would crack, and entire continents would transform into endless desert. But on the other side of the planet, the opposite would happen. The sun would never rise. Darkness would stretch on forever. Temperatures would drop lower and lower, far below freezing. Oceans would begin to freeze solid, expanding into massive sheets of ice. Cities would be buried beneath snow and frost. The air itself would feel sharp and deadly. And over time, this frozen side would become completely uninhabitable. Between these two extremes, Earth would no longer be balanced. It would become a planet divided between fire and ice. But the oceans wouldn't be the only thing thrown into chaos. The atmosphere itself would begin to change. Right now, Earth's rotation helps distribute air evenly across the planet. But if that motion suddenly stopped, everything would shift. Air would begin rushing toward the hottest part of the Earth, pulled toward the endless daylight side. as hot air rises and cold air crashes in to replace it. This would create winds unlike anything ever seen before. Not just storms, but constant, unstoppable atmospheric movement. Wind speeds could exceed 1,000 miles per hour, faster than most commercial airplanes. Entire regions would be blasted by continuous, violent winds. Cloud systems would stretch across continents, colliding, twisting, and feeding into something much larger. At the boundary between the burning daylight and frozen darkness, a permanent wall of storms would form. A massive ring wrapping around the entire planet, filled with lightning, hurricanes, and endless turbulence. A violent barrier separating heat from ice. And once it begins, it may never stop. Despite everything, life might not disappear completely. There would be one place on Earth where survival is still possible. A narrow zone between the burning daylight and the frozen darkness. A place where the sun never rises too high and never fully disappears. A world of constant twilight. Not too hot, not too cold. Just enough to survive. But reaching it wouldn't be easy. People would be forced to leave everything behind. Cities, homes, entire countries. Abandoned. Humanity would begin to migrate, moving across deserts, through storms, and away from the freezing dark. All searching for the same thin line of survival. And when they arrive, a new kind of world would begin. Cities built along the edge of eternal sunset, powered by solar energy from the light and protected from the cold. Farms growing under controlled environments, technology keeping humanity alive where nature no longer can. But life here would never be easy. Step too far into the light and you burn. Step too far into the darkness and you freeze. Every day would be a balance, a constant fight to survive between two extremes. A civilization trapped between fire and ice. Fortunately, this scenario is almost impossible. The amount of energy required to stop Earth's rotation is beyond anything we can imagine. But thinking about it reveals something important. Every second, without us even noticing, our planet is spinning, perfectly balanced, controlling the oceans, the atmosphere, and life itself. That simple motion is what gives us day and night, weather, seasons, and the ability to survive on this world. Without it, everything changes. The winds, the water, the sky, and the future of humanity. So the next time you watch the sun rise, or feel the wind move across the earth, just remember, it's all happening because our planet never stops spinning. And maybe that's what makes Earth so incredible. But what if, one day, it did? Subscribe, because the next What If might change everything you thought you knew about Earth.